Alright students, this is 8.3, video number 2, reference angles. Here's what's tough about reference angles. They get into radians, which we're going to talk about some more. We talked about in our previous video. And they get into which quadrant you're in, and then this weird notation and everything like that. So you get theta, which is already a weird Greek letter. And then you get theta prime, this little apostrophe by it, we call it theta prime. It's it's because it's related to theta, so we don't want to give it a totally new letter. We keep it like that. So let me try and explain what all this stuff means and break it down a little bit easier. You'll notice 180 shows up a lot in here, and 360 as well. But like, why quadrant 1, quadrant 2? Do I have to remember different rules for every quadrant? What the, huh? No. Pause. Don't panic. Here's where we're going to do it. Okay, so we're going to grab some paper and we'll start with some examples. Okay, so we'll do it in degrees, and we have 130 degrees in standard position. Okay, and we'll again talk about what that means and what's the reference angle. So take a second, you can just do it on scratch paper, see if you can picture where where 130 degrees is and what quadrant it's in. So take a second, pause it right now, and let's go ahead and check it. Now, if you drew something like that, you are 100% correct. If you're like, what the hell? Again, remember, this is the x-axis, this is the initial side, and this is the what we call the terminal side. Alright, and terminal. And if you have this is your first time seeing it, go back and watch the other video and it'll make more sense. But the main thing is x-axis is where we start, and then we rotate in this direction if we're going positive, and we can also go in the other direction. We'll get to that. Okay, well then the question is, what's the reference angle? Well, the reference angle is, if you made a triangle this way, what would be left over? What would be the angle inside? Take a second, I'm going to redraw this, and then take a second to see if you can figure out, what is that angle? So the key here is that all the way around to here is 180, so what would be left over? That would be 50. So that's why the book had the theta prime equals 180 minus theta. Well, technically, yes, you could do 180 minus 130, 30, and get 50 degrees. All right, so that's our reference angle. For me, it's just easier to draw it than try to make sure I'm using the right thing. Because the other thing is, what if you're in quadrant 3? Let's do that as an example. So, for example, let's take 220 degrees. And again, that's a weird angle, because before, in Math 2, you know triangles can only go to 180, so how the hell would you have a 220? Again, take a second, let's pause it right now, and then see if you can draw it. Okay, so if you drew it like that, that is correct. You should be in quadrant 1, 2, 3. Again, the quadrants go quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. That's the other thing you're going to want to know. Where are you at? What location are you at? Which quadrant are you in? So 220 would be 180 and then an extra 40. That's what the reference angle is. So I don't memorize any formulas. I draw it and then I figure it out. Okay, and you can do this for any angle. Same thing. You can do it for negative angles. Let's try one last one here, you guys, and go negative 120 degrees. Take a second, see if you know where that is, and let's check it. All right, is that what you drew? If you got to pay attention to the negative. So if you drew it in this quadrant, you are correct. You rotate down when it's negative, you rotate upward towards the positive, and it's positive angle. So positive this way, negative that way. Okay, that doesn't answer the question, what's our reference angle? Okay, again, our reference angle is the angle inside the triangle. And what's weird is our reference angle, we're always going to take it as a positive. We're going to think of it as a positive. All right, or actually pause that. Okay, so yes, again, what's happening here is, even though you're on negative 120, when you isolate it, we're just dealing with a triangle that has a 60 here. I didn't draw this perfectly well, but that's the reference angle is correct. Because going all the way over here would be 180, so here is just 60. Okay, so that's what it is. You don't need to memorize any of those formulas from that thing on reference angles. Just do it this way, and you'll be totally fine. All right, thanks for watching.